Hello everyone, this is the psychic prediction video for the visions of what is to come, specifically for the month of October 2025. So this video is titled The Dark Month of the Soul, because this is going to be a rather challenging month. Today's date is September 29th. So, first of all, regarding World War III, I don't particularly believe that we will be entering into World War III, although it may be some similarity of something close to that. I would call it more like a proxy World War III, because it's not quite a World War III where all nations are attacking each other. So I don't personally call it World War III, although a lot of people feel that it may be appropriate to call it that. But regardless, I feel that it's going to be more so that we get very close to what I would call World War III, but then quickly shift away from that right before it becomes full blown. Now, that's more of the long term outlook. But in this video, I will be discussing how my previous visions of last month have turned out, as well as what I see happening for October 2025 regarding major geopolitical shifts with long-lasting consequences happening in October. Donald Trump, Putin, Israel, Ukraine, Bitcoin, world news, as well as an energy forecast and some general advice at the end of this video. Keep in mind that all of this information is about October specifically. I don't do general predictions for, I do general predictions for the future, but this video is specifically about October in particular. So the first thing that I saw, this is kind of a repeat from last month actually, but what I saw was an airplane dropping a bomb, and this seemed to be a very big deal. Along with this, I wasn't sure exactly where this was, but I got the sense of Afghanistan. I don't necessarily believe that this is going to happen in Afghanistan specifically, but Afghanistan just kind of gave me the vibe of the Middle East, so it could just be more of a symbol to represent the Middle East in general, but that was the information coming through. And by the way, I do this by going into a state of meditation, a semi-trance, and connecting to my higher self and having the visions come through to show me what is coming up. I do this every month. I've been doing it for years. So there seems to be a conflict coming up again that is U.S. backed regarding this dropping of this bomb from an airplane. I saw a vision of Donald Trump slamming a phone down in frustration. This looks like it's going to be another challenging month for Donald Trump. Last month was the first one in a while where I saw that being a major situation for Trump, and this month is going to continue, and I will explain more about what I saw last month that was troubling for Trump. I see Russia working with Middle Eastern countries and building stronger relations, leading Trump to be more on the offensive, although I don't get the sense that he will be offensive in a successful way, but that he will be a little bit more feeling combative internally, you could say. Trump's geopolitical plans seem to be failing in October coming up here, and he is starting to see how he is headed in a larger direction towards failure, unfortunately for him. I also saw Putin laughing at Trump, at Trump's desperation and efforts to do what he's trying to do here that isn't working in October. And Putin seems very happy in general, so it seems to me that I would assume, based off that, that Russia is probably doing pretty decent in October. I get the sense that there may be some sort of setback at the start of the month, but that later on in the month he feels, or Putin feels, more like he is overall winning in the long term battle, even if he may have lost a short term battle. Last month I said that I saw Putin destroying Ukraine, and I know some people got upset that I would say such things, but regardless, I'm just going to quote a news headline that says, or not headline, but this is what the news said, quote, Ukraine's Air Force said Russia launched 593 drones and 50 missiles of various types, making the overnight barrage the largest combined strike on Ukraine since September 7th. So that was a record in September that just recently happened, which beat the previous record from September 7th, which was also in September. So there you go. That kind of tells you the story right there, that there were two records of the most escalation coming from Russia, both happening in September, which I predicted the previous month would happen in that month. So I do see this continuing into October. So expect new record attacks on Ukraine and more devastation. I am seeing Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. I wasn't sure it was necessarily Kyiv, but I looked at the map and that seemed to be the general area. Kyiv, or maybe to the west of Kyiv. That general area is where I was getting the sense was going to be hit pretty hard in October. And I also saw cities on fire, so maybe some of these explosions could lead to fires that may be hard to contain in Ukraine. So I also saw Trump making a deal with India that is to his personal benefit. This could be this is more to his benefit, not to the rest of the world's benefit, and this could be somewhat of a kind of secret thing where we don't really understand exactly how he's benefiting. But I was getting the sense that if you pay attention to this, and if it even is in the news to begin with, that if you read between the lines, you may be able to see Trump's future plans that are kind of like his secret future plans for where he's planning to head. And that's what came through. So I'll be paying attention to that. Any news with India should be interesting. We'll see what happens. Last month, I saw Trump looking shocked and confused about what to do regarding some sort of explosion. Of course, this was before it happened, so I didn't know what this was about. But I said a country is doing the opposite of what he wants and leaving him angry about it. And now that that has happened, now we know obviously that this was Russia, who recently was ramping up attacks on Ukraine and reportedly flying over NATO airspace, making it very difficult for Trump to reach that peace agreement that he was trying to reach. Trump recently, because of this, has changed his stance to fully support backing Ukraine in their efforts to take all of their territory back from Russia, which is a complete 180 from where Trump stood previously on that issue. So no longer so friendly towards Russia. He's angry at Russia. So I predicted we would see more info about Epstein for September. I predicted that previous to the month, of course. And I also said that despite that, there would be no legal action. Since then, we have seen more documents that have been released, including a birthday letter that Trump denies he wrote Epstein with some very damning artwork. Epstein survivors announced their plan to make their own Epstein list with the information that they have from their experiences. There has been more push to release the Epstein files, but I don't see this pressure continuing on into October. This seems to kind of die out for a little while. It seems that this issue will die down for at least a couple months before re-emerging again. So I don't think the Epstein files are gone. They're going to come back with a vengeance. More information will be released. I don't get the sense that this will take down Trump, but I do get the sense that this will create so much public awareness on the issue that it will be kind of like O.J. Simpson, where everyone's like, oh yeah, he was guilty, but somehow the court didn't rule against him. Now, of course, I've done many readings on Donald Trump, including blind readings, meaning that I was reading him without knowing who I was reading. This is a common practice in remote viewing, where you are tasked with something that you are to do a reading on without knowing who it is until the very end, and then after you've done the reading, you find out who it is. I've done this multiple times with Donald Trump, and I've done many readings on Donald Trump, and I have a lot of information about what's going on behind the scenes. So if you want to understand kind of where I stand on all that and what I've seen from it, you can join my Patreon page with a free 7-day trial, of course, to get lots more background on that. But anyways, moving on here. Years ago, I also predicted that Poland would become a hot spot in the conflict with Russia. Recently, Russia flew drones over Poland, as you probably know. I previously also predicted that Russia would start focusing on attacking NATO economically from behind the scenes, and I specifically said that this would not be a hot war in the sense that they are outwardly attacking NATO countries, but it would be more like a economic Cold War, you could say. So I don't believe that the drone situation being flown over Poland was entirely actually done by Russia on purpose. There seems to be something further behind this. This does seem to be a way of NATO telling Russia to back off because Russia is kind of attacking them behind the scenes, kind of secretly, out of the visibility of the public. And so it's as if NATO is saying, if you're going to attack us, then do it publicly, and we'll make it look like you're attacking us. So that's the sense that I get about that. You can obviously find out more about that on my Patreon, as I said earlier. At this point, if you like this content, give this video a thumbs up. You can subscribe for psychic predictions every month before the month. And don't forget to comment below on what you think about this. And any comment is helpful. It helps the algorithm, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Moving on, I saw a vision of Trump being handed a celestial key, and this is symbolic in nature. And this was a key representing for him to go in a different direction, which will be better for humanity. But he is resisting this in the month of October and clinging to the old plans and kind of old alliances that he's been part of. But I do get the sense that as things don't work out for him more and more, which I'm seeing for October and moving forward, that he's going to kind of drop some of those older agendas, older plans over older alliances, you could say. And of course, there's aspects of him that are on both sides of what he would call the deep state. He's fighting some of them and kind of working with the other ones. That's all I'm going to say. You can get the rest on my Patreon or watch my previous videos to find out more about that. Trump recently pushed a peace deal with Hamas. I don't see this really working out. I do get the sense that in October this will seem to calm down the situation between Israel and Hamas a little bit, but that Netanyahu eventually starts giving some sort of ultimatum. And I get the sense that this is leading to more pressure. And I also get the sense of other countries aligning with Israel. It's kind of like they're making a point of some sort, and other countries kind of, for some reason, support Israel more because of that. But towards the end of October or heading into November, somewhere around there, I do see destruction coming back again between the Palestinians and Israel, of course. But I also get the sense that Israel may actually feel some damage themselves, and they may get hit hard themselves. Now, last time I said that, I don't remember what month that was, but whatever month that was when they really did get hit with some, missiles or something like that, and it was a pretty big deal. So we'll see what happens this month. Another thing that popped in my mind was Ethiopia for some reason, and I could be way off on this, but it just popped in my mind, and I just thought maybe there's something about this that's going to show up in the news. With that came the information about flood water causing problems for people in October, like rising water, like people being flooded, especially around the southern hemisphere of the world. Ethiopia is kind of near I think it's still in the northern part, but like pretty close to the bottom of the near the southern hemisphere, you could say. So it's possible that Ethiopia may be involved in some sort of flood in October. But regarding last month I was seeing that the Earth was acting strange in response to actually an invisible ET war going on above Earth. And you can go back and watch my September psychic prediction video about that if you want to learn more about that. But anyways, I mentioned how that was having an effect energetically on the Earth, and how this was creating strong winds and landslides for September. Of course, I predicted it before September. But let me read a news headline here. September 2025 recorded 155 fatal landslides worldwide. Excuse me. Resulting in 616 deaths. The primary driver was an extreme monsoon rain event in Nepal, causing 92 fatal landslides with 203 deaths. Excluding Nepal, 63 fatal landslides occurred, still a record for September, surpassing the previous high of 48 deaths in 2009 and 2010. So that's how long it's been since we've seen landslides to that extent. So there we go. Definitely check as far as that happened. I also recently got a notification on my phone about an earthquake off the coast of Oregon, with a second one happening again the following day. And this is, on a personal level because I live in Oregon. But anyways, I do see this increasing over the coming months as far as earthquakes and weird earth events, landslides, things of that nature, just you could say natural disasters, as well as human-made disasters. So basically, October is going to be a crazy month, to summarize that. So, a little bit more about last month before we can move on to other things. But last month, I I predicted this. I said, I see planes dropping bombs. It doesn't look good. This feels like somewhere in the Middle East, but it is something new from what we have already seen. I feel as though China is somehow related or going to be important in September, probably just supplying weapons. I see new military escalation of some sort. I don't believe this is another long lasting war like Ukraine or Israel, though. So I said China supplying weapons, uh, event dropping bombs, not a major war that lasts. So what happened? I actually forgot that this even happened in September until I just looked it up and found out, oh yeah, that did happen. So shortly after I made that prediction video, we saw Israel bomb Qatar, killing Hamas leaders in the country. Apparently, China has been supplying weapons to Qatar. So there we go. That's the relevancy of China supplying weapons. I do not see China being a major threat to the U.S. in October. So those fears, if they were lingering, I don't see that being a problem. But I do see Russia and Israel, as I've already said, ganging up with other countries, getting more support, becoming like a chess game of allies and world dominance. So Bitcoin has been volatile recently, and I expect it to continue with sideways volatility for a good while. Previously, I had been saying how I had in the past been seeing it coming down a lot more during this time, and how the future outlook has shifted. And that is a thing that happens. The future is not set in stone. We do have free will to adjust the future. This is why future predictions can be changed. Sometimes that's the best part of getting a future prediction, that you can change your future. So I don't see that happening so much as much as I've stated in the past. It seems more of like a volatile sideways motion for Bitcoin. However, it does seem that in October there could be a quick, sharp downward motion that recovers very fast. That could potentially be a good buying opportunity. I don't think it will go too low. There's a possibility it could go below 100K, potentially, maybe, probably not to 80K, but who knows, maybe it could go down that low, but probably not. But it looked like a quick, sharp thing. I would say somewhere probably mid-month or right before mid-month, somewhere around there. So the stock market has had sideways volatility, as I predicted last month, and I think I also already said this last month that I just see it going sideways for a long time. So again, moving into October, I continue to see it going sideways for a long time, as it has been. Of course, you can always join my Patreon page and see details on hundreds of crypto coins and stock predictions. October, overall, October, to summarize, is a very challenging month. There's a general feeling of devastation in the air. I was getting that people may feel very tired, so you may feel very tired, and this is emotionally as well as physically. Along with that came the message that it may be good to drink lots of water, and that will be very nourishing to the body and help with the tired feeling. So I guess October, don't forget to drink water. That was an important message. There's a sense of feeling cornered, and with that I saw visions of being arrested, which I think is twofold. I think people will feel trapped and feel like they're confined as if they're being arrested, but I also get the sense that there could be a lot of people literally being arrested as well. So if you're going to go out and be in a big crowd and protest, maybe, I don't know, maybe you want to be arrested. Do whatever you want to do. But that definitely seems to be a thing showing up. So anyways, pushing too hard in October can backfire. So it may be better to give it a wait. Whatever it is for you, whatever that may be, I don't know. But everybody's different. But whatever it is that you're pushing for, maybe just hold back a little bit. And this leads me to the next section, which was when I ask what is good for the month of October. What came through was patience. Definitely patience. And to lay low for the month of October. Staying to one's self is good for October. Also, October is good for getting lots of rest and taking care of your body. That seems to be a big deal this month. I don't normally get stuff like that usually coming through most months, but just people may be kind of worn out and tired, so make sure to take care of yourself. Then I also got make sure you have basic necessities covered rather than focusing on other pursuits. It's a good month to stock up on what you need at home. Also good to seek comfort from those close to you and enjoy the comfort of your home. So, very home life vibes seem to be good. When I ask what is bad for the month of October, I get getting pulled into things is not good for October. So it's not a good month to get pulled into things. It's not a good month for trying to be a hero or to try to save others. It's more a better month for focusing on yourself and laying low. It's not a good month. Again, I think last month I said that it was a bad month for taking on high risk or investments, but this month in particular I got it's not a good month for big investments. And this is partly due to shifting markets, but really more so about unstable mental energy. So it's just not really a great month to make big commitments like that, I guess you could say. And also I got the sense that it's a bad month for starting new adventures. So, that sounds pretty bad. Usually new adventures is a very positive thing, but I kind of got the sense that maybe you should just stay home. So, there's that. And of course, this isn't saying that you should not do these things no matter what. This is just saying, generally speaking, that if you were to lean one direction or the other, you're not really sure, that maybe this would be a better way to go. There's always exceptions, of course. When I asked for some advice from my higher self for what people need to know, what came through was actually kind of confusing, but I got the words, don't tread too lightly. So generally, to tread light means to kind of not rock the boat, but saying don't do that, which is kind of the opposite of what I was previously getting about the month, so I was kind of confused. So I was like, what does that mean? What do you mean by that? And the message I got was, don't tread too lightly in the sense of, don't worry what others do or think. Do what is important for you and you only. Stock up on what you need. So that seems to be a thing for some reason this month, to stock up on what you need. It could just be because we're moving into winter. I don't know. But seems like a good thing to do in general anyways. So one thing that people asked me about last month was 3i Atlas, this comet or whatever it is coming through. Now I did post a bunch on my Patreon page, but basically I'll just say right here that what I got was that this is a natural meteorite, but it's been turned into a craft with ETs that are friendly towards Earth, but not kind of indifferent towards humanity. And again, we always associate the Earth with us, but that's not really how they see it. We just are on Earth, and there are other beings on Earth, other ETs on Earth, and they don't view it as Earth is synonymous with humanity, or not our version of humanity, at least. So, these ETs, I don't get the sense that they're evil, but I do get the sense that they're a little indifferent towards humanity compared to the ETs that we're used to. This is a different group in the Three Eye Atlas. I've been speaking for a very long time, for years now, about the ETs that are helping humanity uplift our vibration and shift the frequency of the Earth to a higher vibration. This is a different group that isn't really involved in that. So they're different, but they're not evil. And I don't know what else I should say. But you can just join my Patreon page and read. I've made like 3 posts about it, 3 like whole essays about it, so you can read more about that there if you want, with a 7-day free trial, that is, so you don't have to pay anything. By the way, you can join for free without a 7-day trial and get my free content as well, because I do post some news and some interesting stuff every now and then just for free. And you will get that in your email by signing up for the free membership on my Patreon page. Also, if you do sign up for the 7-day free trial, that will give you access to the paid content. And it is a psychic encyclopedia of hundreds of names and all sorts of things people have done blind readings on. So if you do sign up for that and you cancel the membership so that you don't get charged, which makes sense to do, but if you do it before the end of the time, you won't have access to the search bar. And if you're trying to scroll down, good luck, because you're not going to find what you're looking for. You need the search bar because there's hundreds of different names, many posts. So the idea is it's an encyclopedia. You type in a politician's name or someone famous or someone important, and maybe I've done a reading on them, and it will show up in this psychic encyclopedia, as I call it. And if it's not there, you can request that I add the name to my list, and I will eventually do a blind reading on it, not knowing who I'm reading, of course, until after I do the reading. So recently I have done blind readings in the month of September. What has showed up was Laura Eisenhower. I did a blind reading on her. I did a reading on Xi Jinping, president of China, and Juice WRLD. Oddly enough, I don't normally do readings on people like that, but sometimes they slip through. People request whatever. Sadhguru, also, I just recently did that video, which will be coming out soon, but it is not posted yet. It will be October 1st, I believe, coming out. Those are all blind readings. Of course, I don't always do blind readings. I also do readings on situations that people request. I did a reading on Jason Shirka's light system claims, the deep state agendas behind what's going on with Europe and the future plans with Europe, and also who is behind Charlie Kirk's assassination, not Israel, I'll just say. An interesting stock was the Pepsi stock price prediction that I did. It seems to die off around 2045, where a lot of things tend to die off. That was just an interesting one that I decided to share with some of the lower tiers that weren't part of that tier to normally get the crypto information. I just thought it was interesting. And of course, hundreds of other cryptos and stocks that you can get by signing up for that higher tier if you want access to that. And that's about all I have to say for today. So don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you appreciate this content. I always appreciate that. Ad-free here. I advertise my Patreon page. I don't have any other ads, so give this video a thumbs up. And subscribe for monthly predictions every month before the month starts. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. Links will be below this video.